on a local, so I can upload it to YouTube easy. Okay, this is an interview with Jackson Yew, a marketer from Malaysia, and I'm John Caprani. And Jackson, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are first?
Right. So hi everybody. We have a funnel agency. We started off as a funnel agency, and along the way we also went into SaaS. So I recently just exited my SaaS, and then I'm back rolling and back from the underworld.
Okay. So you've done the whole hero's journey thing, and you've reached the other end and come out to and tell the tale, yeah?
I wouldn't say that, but kind of like been through a few like different kind of journey myself. Yeah.
So I think what caught my eye was you posted a story in Alan Sultanic's Nothing Held Back group about like all the things that happened to you on your journey to build and sell your SaaS company. And it was just, you told it really well. It was a captivating story. And I said, okay, I want to talk to this guy and record his story. So would you like to tell us a little bit about that journey? Is that something you feel comfortable doing? Maybe you can start like kind of where you got into marketing and like how it took you in the path to building and selling your SaaS company.
Okay. Well, my background is my background. I'm the worst kind of entrepreneur. So I grew up in a very kind of like a traditional family. So my mom is a high school teacher. So practically imagine growing up in a family like that. So that's when like my mom will always be like, study, you must study, get good grades and stuff like that. So the whole that early part of my life, before I graduate my university, that's literally the thought that I have in my head. I just want to graduate, get a decent grades, and then go out there and actually like become an engineer. So, and I did that. So the first job that I got is I joined a sales role, actually coming from the very how do you say that? Introvert background. I don't like to actually talk a lot, but I decided to give myself a challenge, and I actually got into a sales role. And the thing that I'm selling is actually palm oil mill machinery. So it's like factory machines. So, and I had to wear long sleeves with a tie and then drive the car like literally into jungles where the factories are located, and try to talk to the managers or the mechanics like, hey, try to sell them machines. So, but I'm grateful with that part of journey, because that's when I got more glimpse into the world of entrepreneurship. You get to meet a lot of cool people, and that's when I met a guy who would then become my partner when I decided that I wanted to actually dive into the whole entrepreneurship thing. So he was selling me the dream of like, and you probably have never heard of this. I actually got into a business called ship salvaging. So if you have never heard of something like that, think about cutting ships, cutting off vessels who may be sunken in the middle of the sea. So you have to actually like go out there and then just chop them off, and then maybe like sell them off as scrap metals. So I got very interested in this business because I've never heard of it. And I thought like, hey, it looks fun. So that's when I decided to quit my job and join with this partner and start this business. It was a fun 2 years, not so much fun for my bank account, because at the end of the 2 years, I realized that I'm left with like less than 3 figures in my bank account. So I literally invested all my savings. Coming from my background, I do have decent savings, and to imagine I just dump everything into a business, because one thing that you can never do in a business is to starve your team. So you can stay hungry, but your team can never be hungry, because then who's going to do all the work? So, and I've realized that my partner was really, I wouldn't say bad, but anyway, long story short, I decided this business is not for me, and I decided to quit. So left with like kind of like nowhere to go, right? I mean, I don't want to go back into working for somebody, and then I I thought like, hey, maybe I should just learn something online. So that's how I got started in learning marketing. I bought books and watched YouTubes and stuff like that. That's how I got started in marketing. Then along the way, I decided that, hey, let's do it, take it more seriously, and then we start hiring people, and then we start going out there and start approaching local businesses like, hey, do you need a website? Hey, do you need marketing? But I realized it's a terrible thing to do because like over here in Malaysia, businesses are like the educational level compared to what I would say in the States is there's a little bit of difference between the familiarity of like the whole digital marketing scene. That's like back in 5-6 years ago. So, and imagine I was charging around like $200 to build a full website. And looking back in retrospect, I charged like 2,000 to 3,000 minimum for a single page. So, and that was the time of how I started the agency. But at one point I decided I want to change. Because I joined like those kind of seminars back when, before COVID, you have a lot of different kind of like seminars, right? So I joined those seminars. There's like Gary V, Grant Cardone, like all these kind of like invited speakers. And I took up a mentorship program, which also took all of my savings again. It's a 6-figure investment into direct mentorship of a top summit organizer. I took up a direct mentorship under him. And that's also how he led me to meet with Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins, there's only one thing that I would say I would credit to that led to my success is this one particular sentence, which is like, ask who, not how. Because like all the time I was thinking like, how can I get more clients? How can I get better paying clients? But I've never thought about asking, who do I actually want as a client? So then once I really give that thought, I decided to really focus on like building landing pages for coaches and consultants. And so I started exploring that route. And I kind of like made some name for myself in the whole ClickFunnels group. So I was one of the kind of like the early pioneer to really post my designs and stuff like that in the groups. It was working really well. So that's how I built my name. And along the way, huge people that I respect, like Mike Dillard, Frank Kern, even Dan Locke, reach out to work together. So I ended up working with them, building their funnels, even gone into some partnership deals with them. So that's the whole first half of the whole like marketing and funnel agency journey. Then last year, I decided that I want to do something different. So that's when we partnered up with a SaaS company, and I go full in on SaaS mode. So for that whole year, I kind of like went under the radar because I was building the SaaS, and I was building the team, and I was doing the products, and I was doing the hiring and all those kind of stuff. So yeah, and then just recently I got out of the business. We did like we managed to 10x the whole scale to 8-figure, and then a few months ago I decided, hey, there's a good opportunity for me to exit the business. And yeah, that's how kind of like how people start seeing me again, because now I'm back on the radar.
Okay, so that time when you were doing SaaS, you were like basically you just dropped off social media and just focused completely on that business.
Yes, kind of. So I wasn't posting too much things. So it's really a lot of like diving myself into the whole SaaS world, reading up, like watching different like materials, like really putting myself all into that business. So yeah, I wasn't posting much, and that's why a lot of people are like, hey, you have where were you? Like I haven't been seeing you posting for a while, but once you start posting, this is such a like a huge gem. So it's like, okay, thank you.
And when you went into doing that SaaS business, did you come in as the marketer? Like they already had a product and you were there to actually grow the sales?
Yeah, so they actually had a product, a decent product, which is why we decided to partner them. Because I think the fun thing about doing the whole funnel and marketing business is you get to meet a lot of people. And a lot of people actually wants to talk to you. So, and that's how we get approached by a lot of different opportunities. And we actually like kind of like get a first-hand option to choose, like, do we want to participate in playing this game? Do we, or like, do we want to just like, what do we want to do with it? Right? So many different kind of opportunities. Yeah. So there's a product that has been around for like 1 to 2 years, wasn't really taking off that much. It's okay. So, and the whole point of like partnering together is really to take them to the next level, which we did.
Cool. And when you say we, so what does we look like? Is that you? Do you have a team of designers, developers, coders, copywriters, marketers? Who do you have in your team that helps you get stuff done?
Right. So my company, the company brand is called Funnel Duo. So, and it's because this whole company is started by me and my brother. So, which is we always go out together and talk to clients together. And of course, as a agency, then I have my own teams of like marketers, project managers, and stuff like that. So last year we went into a full merger. So it's not even a partnership; it's actually a full merger and we basically combined together like both of our team. So, and my team, what we really specialize in is really the whole marketing, the digital marketing side of things. And for them, they're very good at like they have a good idea of the products is in the B2B world. So, and it's targeting like small, medium business owners. So we decided like, hey, this looks like a good product, and we want to take that to the next level.
So, and you said like when you were actually like starting out as a marketer, you really got your early exposure from being in Russell Brunson's free group, his ClickFunnels group. Is that right?
Yes. So I mean, like I would credit the early part of my knowledge to his books, Dot-Com Secrets, and The Expert Secrets. That those two books are really great. And then also at that time, Sam Owens was also pretty active. Was actively selling his consulting. He hasn't sold off yet at that time. So I even bought that as part of my whole my self-development journey.
Awesome. And then, but like from there, you said like you mentioned some big names, like people like Frank Kern and even people like Dan Locke, who made big names themselves and built big businesses. Those guys you weren't going looking for them; they were coming looking for you. So how did that situation come about where people who have been in the game a long time, super experienced, and have a very high profile are coming to you and asking you to help them?
I think, yeah, that's a very good question. So coming from my background as an engineer, like you wouldn't think that marketing is my stuff, design is my stuff. But I never in my life do any cold outreach. And I'm not a fan of cold outreach myself. Cold emails, cold DMs, those are not the stuff that I do. All of these names that reach out to me happens through like just organic posting. It's just me building my brands. It's just me putting out contents. It's also partly me kind of like humble bragging in like my design works, the kind of stuff. So by putting those works out there, when people see it, it instantly changes like their perception of like what I can do. It gives them the whole and one thing I love about like funnel design, landing page design, everything design is it's very visual. It's the part where judgment is made, right? So when we say don't judge a book by its cover, hey, everyone is judging a book by its cover, right? Everyone is judging like how you wear and things like that. So, and that's kind of like my breaking point when I decided to penetrate like overseas market, because I was in Malaysia. I am in Malaysia, and how the hell did I get clients all over the world? So, and that breaking point at that time was like, hey, why not I put out my design, show them, and if they like it, then they will come, and it worked.
Awesome.
So
may I just interject something there before you come to that point? It's interesting because designers, and I know a lot of designers, their very common complaint is that everybody thinks they're a designer from the client side, that the client always wants to have input. And I can see how that's frustrating for designers, but it's also a good thing because, like you said, it means that the client can take a look at your work and say, hey, I really like that. And they feel emotionally something towards it. Whereas with with copy, with doing consulting strategy work, yes, you can share, and your client can read your stuff and say, hey, I really like this, but it's not as immediate. People see a piece of design and in half a second, they know they like it. It makes them feel good. Whereas even with copy, they have to say,
Yes.
okay, I'm going to sit down and spend 15 minutes reading this, and then I'll make a judgment. So that immediacy is a real powerful benefit. And of course, the downside is that the clients want to tell you their input for the design. But for your perspective as service provider, it means that demonstrating your work is a matter of just uploading it and letting people see what you got.
Exactly. So, and one thing is the biggest difference is because I'm not a designer. I am not from that background. So I don't think of myself as a designer. I think of myself as a marketer who understands designs. And I just happens to know what's good. And I just happens to have a great taste in terms of like what looks good. So, and I think that's how I managed to position myself all along.
Okay. And one thing I think is unique as well is your skill set, is that you're originally an engineer, and tends to be in the marketing space a lot of highly creative people who are great with ideas, produce great concepts, but maybe sometimes, like from an execution side, they're not as organized. They'll start something, they'll have some great early work, they'll have a big rush of inspiration and creativity, but then there's a lot of boring work that needs to be done in terms of system building, processes, thinking about different user journeys all the way from beginning to end, and different entry points and exit points into a funnel. And the creative type of person typically is not well suited to that type of work, whereas an engineering person is a systems thinker. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I would have never imagined that that part of the life would also impact the later part of like my career. But I think what you said is really true, because my journey of like my education and my background as an engineer, it taught me of like thinking things in terms of like very like systematic and process driven. So, and I kind of managed to balance between both, because the design is, like I said, very creative thing, but doing work is a very boring grunt, right? Building funnels is not as creative as like just drawing some things, right? So it involves technical knowledge. And so I'm grateful for that, because it actually shapes how I think, and possibly it's also how I managed to position myself as not just a designer or not even just a marketer. Heck, in the company, I am the jack of all trades. So like I can do mobile apps coding, I can do JavaScript, I can do HTML, I can talk strategy, I can draw funnels, I can discuss business strategy. So, but I guess that's the part, the fun and the painful part about being a business owner, because a lot of time you tend to have to master or learn everything yourself.
And you mentioned to me at the beginning of the call that you had spent some time working in Utah. You want to talk a little bit about that? How did that come to be, and what did you do when you were there?
Oh yeah, so that is also a very interesting story. So after I graduated from my university, so I actually applied to a program called Work and Travel. So there's this opportunity where like companies in the States are actually hiring kind of like interns, but they actually provide these opportunities to countries all over the world to actually like apply and then get a job there. So I decided, instead of like going to the city, I decided to pick the most boring place on earth, which is national park.
Okay.
So I picked the national park in Utah. It's called Zion. So, and I ended up working as a server's assistant. I'm not even a server, right? I'm the server's assistant. So my income comes from how much my server makes. So, and there's a term that they call busser. So I'm basically bussing the tables, like just cleaning the tables, and then at the end of the day, hope that my servers is happy and got good tips himself or herself, and then decided to give me a portion of it. So, and that goes on. So that whole life is like basically just eat, sleep, hike, because in national park you can do nothing but just hike. So eat, sleep, hike, repeat. So that's and work, yeah. So that part of the life, but that has also kind of like seeded a great thing in my head, is because like at one point it didn't scares me to actually approach US people, like talk to people from all over the world. It's because I have that experience. I've experienced that currency, and which is why the first country that once I decided the whole ask who, not how thing is to approach people from the States.
Yeah, awesome. Because you'd had that experience of working there and you understood some of the culture and kind of started to know the people.
Yes.
Yeah. It's, I mean, the same for me. Like I live in Ireland, but pretty much every client, sometimes in the UK, but pretty much all of my clients are in the US. And the business culture they have there, it's easier to get something started. People are more willing to take a chance. I think, Americans have a mentality a lot of the time in business that they'll roll the dice on something. They don't expect to have a sure thing every time. They understand that when they're doing things, they are placing a bet, and they don't expect every bet to be a winner. But they know that if they keep placing bets, sooner or later, they're going to have a win that's so big that it sweeps away any losses from bad bets they made before. And that's a very great attitude to have. It's not really as much of a prevalent attitude here in Ireland. So for that reason, I really enjoy working with people from the US.
Yeah, I think I agree, because like what I described, people from my country as well. There's great people, of course, but I would say majority are still in the adoption stage, like still getting. And now that AI is coming in, everything is just a lot of overwhelming thing, and they are afraid to test. And unlike I mean, like most of my clients overseas, like what you just described, they're very willing to test different things. It's how I started, right? It's how I started as a kind of like a nobody, and just start putting my works out there, like thinking and trying to understand what people want. And what they want ultimately is not design. What they want ultimately is more sales, right? More conversion, more leads, and stuff like that. So it's never about the design, but the design is a great thing to get them to actually like pause and hesitate, like, what the hell am I seeing? Like, who the hell is this? Who did this? Like, so that's kind of like the trick that I use to get clients and just start building my whole portfolio from there.
And now that you've finished your SaaS business, you've exited that. Are you going to stay in that industry? Or are you back into your agency service? That's your primary focus again now.
I think the great thing, the best thing I love about my agency, the whole business model, is that over the time that I'm working in SaaS, my agency is still running. So I mean, I like all the clients that just somehow found me, or through referrals, or like existing clients that I've been working, that part of business is running. So, and that allows me to actually like get myself out of the business and actually do things that I love. So, and now that I exited that part of things, I'm coming back into it and see what else I can do with it. Because one thing I love about the business model is that it allows me to meet great people. It allows me to get exposed to different kind of opportunities, and really not stay outdated and stay comfortable in like the comfort zone.
Yeah. It's one of the things that brought me into marketing as well. I've always been fascinated with all the strange and weird ways that people make money. And there are so many, I have a friend who used to, like you talked about salvage earlier. I have a friend who used to salvage for wreck diving. They used to go diving on wrecks in the deep ocean with using a compressor and like long tubes to breathe, himself and his brother.
Yep.
And his father was an ex-military guy, so he trained his boys from age of 7, 8 to do this stuff. So by the time they were teenagers, they were like real commandos, these two boys. And they used to go sailing around the world looking for sunken wrecks and diving for treasure. And actually, in the end, they found treasure. And his father used that treasure to buy some really beautiful real estate in the Indian Ocean. And he died a multimillionaire from the property he had bought from the treasure they had hunted. And like when I heard that story, I worked with that guy for almost a year, because just all the interesting things they had done to make money in the time they were traveling around. They were, you know what a cowrie shell is?
Mm-hmm.
It's a particular type of like colored and patterned shell that people find deep under the sea, and they can be very big and they grow very beautiful. Well, he used to make a living from part of his life of just diving and collecting those shells all through the year. And then he would fly during, there was collector conferences in Europe. He would fly there in the summer and bring his collections to these conferences, and all the collectors would be wowed by these rare things he'd found all over the world. And he would sell them all for cash and then live off that money for the rest of the year and go back the next year and make money again. And he lived this kind of modern hunter-gatherer lifestyle. So stuff like that is super, super fascinating. But for many years, I was in construction industry, and I got bored because you meet the same people doing the same stuff again and again. And one of the best things about being in the marketing business is all the different types of business owners you meet, all the different types of companies, the different ways people make money, the different skills and knowledge that people have. It's like being a magpie. You get to pick up a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. And that's really what I love about being in this industry.
Mm. And you talked a few minutes ago about AI, and I know everybody's talking about it these days, but I've just started to ask people every time I have one of these calls now, like, what are you doing with it in your business? How are you implementing it? Where do you see it being maybe underrated? Where do you see that it's overhyped? And what do you see opportunities are for you to actually use it as a tool for your team to make them be able to be better at what they do?
Right. So personally, I think it is a great tool in terms of like it's a really great assistance when it comes to like ideation, and when it comes to things like just speeding up the copywriting, the brainstorm process, those kind of stuff. So and those are the stuff that I use pretty much every day as well. So like whenever you have doubt, like first ask ChatGPT, because it has like years of knowledge. So why bother like cracking it yourself? So it helps you to get started so fast. And I'm thinking back to like back when we first started business, we have to learn everything kind of like the hard way, the slow way. We have to learn copywriting like just from scratch. But right now, everyone can be a decent writer if they just know how to ask. So of course that involves experience as well, just to know like what to ask and how to tweak it and things like that. But it just shortens the labor times just by so much. So and I encourage my team to use it when they face writer's block, design blocks, whatever. Just before you come to even ask me or ask your manager, ask ChatGPT, because it's free. It's not, there's literally no learning curve. Just ask a question and you get the answer. And if you're not getting the right answer, then that means you are asking the wrong question, right? So improve that. So yeah, so I see it as a really game changer to the whole industry. Of course, I don't want to go too deep into like the whole like moral or ethical stuff that other big corporates can or cannot do. But as a personal, as an entrepreneur, as a small company and whatsoever, I think is a really great invention.
Awesome. Okay. And look, just stepping away from business at the moment, you're a family guy too, right? You got kids, you're married, is that right?
Yeah, so I have a daughter of 14 months now.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic. And she's your first?
She's my first, yes.
Fantastic. And
I
how have you
only,
found that?
yeah, so um, I would say pretty challenging when you have to like dabble between work and family.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I guess at one point why we decided to start a business is because we can better provide and you get the freedom of choice. So, and funny to say, I have been living for 35 years, and it's only this year that I found the true meaning of like what I want to strive for. And back then I was like just work, right? I had no big goals and things like that. But right now I just feel like I really want freedom, the freedom of choice to do whatever business I want to do, which is what I'm doing right now. The freedom of like just spending time away if I want to, and just like giving all my time to my family if I really want to. yeah. So, and freedom, I found that my kind of like life goal is to strive for freedom.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
So yeah.
interesting. Like the freedom thing, I mean, money is important, but like for me, the money is the conduit to the freedom. Like the freedom is the highest
Yes.
value. The money buys freedom. That's the one thing it really, I mean, people say it can't buy everything, and sure, it can't buy everything, but it can certainly buy freedom most of the time. And for me,
Most of the time, yes.
freedom is very much the highest value. I mean, recently I was talking with somebody about they have a really great business and I loved what they do. I was really excited and was thinking about working with them, but they really wanted somebody to come in and join their team full time, be inside their company and make a commitment to work inside their company for the next 3 to 5 years. And the opportunity was great. I could see that they had so much momentum already and would be so good to work with them and help them grow. But in the end, I still said no because I had to sacrifice freedom. And I thought, it's a lot of money, a lot of opportunity, but I'll find another way to get where I want to go because the freedom is the one thing that I'm just not prepared to sacrifice on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like money can buy everything, but time is the only thing that you can never buy. So work harder when you can and to make enough money so that at the later part of the life you can buy back time. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that comes with the freedom of making whatever decision that you want. So I think that's great.
And just now, like that you're getting back into the agency space, do you travel? Do you go to conferences? Do you get out from your home environment to go and network and meet new people in the industry? Or how do you find yourself keep making those like important connections to grow?
The major part of the business came through really just online communities. So
Mm-hmm.
I credit one of it is ClickFunnels group. So it was really hot. It was really valuable. I mentioned it was because right now it's just different. So right now we have nothing held back, which is like a way different level of value providing. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was online communities. That's how I spent a lot of my time back then. And right before pandemic, I did went to, where was it? I think it's Orlando
Mm-hmm.
or Nashville. I forgot where it was held. It was Funnel Hacking Live 2021.
Yes.
So I went there. I met Frank Kern. I met the late Dave. I met a lot of different people there. So, and right after I come back, in like I think another month, pandemic strikes. Like the whole country went into lockdown for 3 full months. So that 3 full months, I literally never stepped out of my house. So it was crazy like that. And from there onwards, there's a lot of restrictions in terms of um meeting people and stuff like that. So we never really go so much into like meeting people all the way until last year where things is easing up a bit. So we started organizing a lot of events even for ourselves, like as for the SaaS company.
Mm-hmm. And are you seeing like a growth in digital marketing in your local market? Or are you potentially going to be somebody who's putting on events or becoming an educator in your own in your market?
Funny that you mentioned. During the pandemic, we actually had like 2,000 students joining our program
Mm-hmm.
because at that point I was doing okay. I think quite well, and there's a lot of people that's reaching out, like, hey, how do you do what you do? And that's when me and my brother we decided like to create a coaching program to actually help Malaysians get through the whole pandemic. So we teach them how to do things we do. So and we just purely focus on Malaysia, and we got like 2,000 students just that year alone. And then but once I mean then later on we decided to stop the program because pandemic was over, and we decided we want to go back into doing some of our own things.
Awesome. Okay. So Jackson, thank you so much for taking time to come and speak with me today. I really appreciate it. A couple of things. One, I'll put links to find you, whatever links you want in the video description below. But when people want to see you, find out what you're about, see your work, where should they be looking for you?
I think going to Facebook is pretty much the place that is easiest.
Mm-hmm.
So it's facebook.com/JacksonYWL. So just send me a friend request and it's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, it's Facebook has been pretty much like everything is downstream of Facebook for me the last 4 years. Like everything good that's come to me has come out of Facebook. And I agree with you completely about groups, how valuable they are. You mentioned like the ClickFunnels group and Nothing Held Back. And I think even with the ClickFunnels group, it's one of those things that sometimes a group can be so valuable that it becomes a victim of its own success, right? That like it's great. So many people are saying, "Oh, this is so awesome," and then so many people rush in to join, and then the problem then becomes it's very hard for the owners of the group to moderate the community when it grows extremely fast, and maybe that affects them from a quality control perspective.
Yeah, so that's what happens when you scale. So like when you scale a company, there's just so many different puzzles that you may or may not miss. So and community is certainly a huge part of that.
Okay, so thank you once again. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I think all good. I hope this is valuable to whoever's listening. Yeah, and I appreciate you inviting me for this short interview. I think it's been fun. Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much. I'll stop the recording now.
All right.